Running used to be a very easily accessible sport. You put on a good pair of shoes, you go outside, and you run. But now the internet has started to convince us that every run needs to be tracked. We need to be using Strava. We need to be better. We need to have the fastest pace. We need to be running like athletes. And we need to be consuming supplements and powders to no end while wearing the cutest outfits. So when did running become so consumer focused? Hello there, my name is Lainey Jean if you're new here, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back and watching another video. I'm coming up on my 3-year mark of running, and I've been thinking about it a lot and how it has changed since I started and kind of my approach to running, how it has shifted, but also just the world around me and how it's portrayed on the internet and the different trends I've seen within it. And I thought it would be very interesting to kind of share my story with running on here, where I've kind of ended up with it, and then also how social media has kind of changed throughout that time as well. So I'm going to just start by giving a little bit of a background on how I got into running, all that kind of stuff. So if you don't want to hear any of that, even though it ties into what we talk about later, you can always skip forward a little bit. Growing up, classically, I feel like this is kind of the situation a lot of people deal with. I hated running. I played all of the, I guess, usual American sports that you would play growing up: basketball, softball, soccer, volleyball, and then I did dance as well, which I still do now. And I loved playing sports so much, but there was always one common thread between all of them, and that was using running as a punishment. Whether it was just an excuse to get us to run or not, it was never used in a positive environment. It was always used as a form of punishment. If you had a teammate that wasn't behaving, everyone ran because it was a team sport, and so everyone had to basically pay this imaginary fee to make up for a mistake that someone on your team made. And I can't say this word on here, but there was literally a type of sprints we did that had a name, if you know, you know, that starts with an S and rhymes with coincide. And just thinking about that now, the fact that we named running a running exercise, that is very telling as to how it's supposed to make you feel. I certainly did not feel good after running those, ever. And I seriously, genuinely did not have a good experience with running until I was out of school, not playing sports. And when I was in my last year of college, I kind of started to think about it a bit more. I mean, that was when I really started seeing people talk about running on social media, because we saw an uptick a couple years ago in people talking about it more and it becoming more promoted to just the everyday person online. And so I asked myself why I hated running. And that was kind of the conclusion I came to, was just never having an environment where I didn't have to run at the fastest speed possible against other people because someone did something wrong. So I asked for a pair of Hokas for my 19th birthday. And when I was home in Wisconsin for the summer, I was gifted a pair of Hokas, like a late birthday gift, and I went on my first run. I had no expectations. I just put on my shoes. I downloaded the Nike Run Club app because it's free. And I remember I did a 19-minute run, and it was the most freeing 19 minutes of running of my life, because I instantly just realized, oh, I can do this for myself, and I can stop when I want to, and I can start when I want to, and I can take a break. I can take walking breaks. I can breathe. I don't have to run myself into the ground. And it was kind of just a light bulb moment of realizing, oh, I actually might really like this. I've just never had the opportunity to explore if I did. It was freeing, and it boosted my confidence to know that I could do something that I had always told myself I wasn't good at. And then I kind of fell into the world of races, which I think is very common now. Everyone feels like in order to be a runner, you have to run a race, which is not the case, and we will talk about that a little bit later. But I did end up signing up for a half marathon. I did the women's half in Central Park, and it was an amazing race. I got to run with like over 9,000 women. It was super cool. I'm super proud of how that went. And then the following year, I decided I wanted to do a full marathon. And while I was training for the full marathon, I ended up getting an opportunity to run the New York City half marathon. I ran for a charity called Friends of the Children, and I hit my fundraising goal, which was awesome. And it was a beautiful race, but I had some health complications come up during the race. I was just having nonstop asthma attacks, which has never happened to me. To my recollection, I've never had an actual like full-blown asthma attack, and I was having them in the middle of this race. And it was just like everything you shouldn't do in a race, or everything that could go wrong in a race, kind of went wrong for me, other than like breaking my leg or whatever, which I'm so grateful for, that it was just that kind of situation of having asthma attacks and then of course having panic attacks because of the asthma attacks. It was a whole situation. And because of these health complications that came up, I had to pull out of the full marathon. And I kind of went on a bit of a hiatus from running. Like it felt like a chore. The joy of it kind of got sucked out of running because I felt so pressured to be like running these long distances for races. And I just got burnt out. Like, not to just throw that word in there, but truly every time I thought about running, I was dreading it. Recently, I have gotten back into running without any expectation. I'm not signed up for a race. While I would love to do a full marathon at some point, I want it to kind of just come to me naturally, not based on what I'm seeing around me. I have just been running with no expectations. I'll set a goal for like a distance or a time or whatever, but I also, if I don't reach it because of how my body's feeling that day, I don't put pressure on it. And that has been really nice to kind of get back to where running started for me versus kind of where it went, and it kind of fell off track and went off the rails in a way that I didn't intend. So kind of reeling it back into like what my original intention with it was has been super helpful. And you may be wondering, like, how does this, Lainey, how does this tie into overconsumption? I think one of the things that really got me to a place where I wasn't enjoying running was I felt this pressure to have the cool matching sets, have all the different running shoes, buy all the running gears and the running watch, and make sure that everything is absolutely perfect and optimized just to be able to go outside and move my body. Like, truly, I do feel like consumerism got a hold of me in the running space. While these things were like acquired, I guess, somewhat slowly over 3 years, I think my need for them, or like this significant want for them in my life, stemmed from comparison to other people online. So I want to kind of discuss how the consumer-focused aspect of the running influencer space online influenced me to purchase stuff, and kind of how you can combat that if you want to be a runner, and also what did work for me that I still use now. If you're on the internet and you're on the running side of the internet at all, you know in the past 3 years, there's been a big boom in influencers creating running content, sharing running vlogs, especially in New York City. I feel like one of the first people I followed for running content was Kate Glavin, and she still makes running content, but she was one of the first people that like made the where you just run with your phone in 0.5 and you talk to the camera while you're running. Now our feeds are kind of oversaturated with that kind of content. With that, there's also been a huge influx in people showing off running marathons multiple times a year. People are, like I said, wearing the coolest new gear, and it isn't just athletes that are showing this stuff off. It is regular people like you and me that are getting sent stuff from brands to show off and promote and influence people to buy. I want to start by talking about the running fashion, right? This is the main consumerism I have noticed, is the need to have really good outfits whenever you go out for a run. Now, I feel like when I started running, it was the matching sets. Everyone needed to have the perfect, beautifully colored matching sets, and they wouldn't just have like one or two or like one for every day of the week that they go on a run. They would have closets full of them with every possible color. Now, of course, you have to keep in mind influencers are probably being sent these things by companies and they're getting to have all these clothes for free, but there is still some sort of comparison. They will share outfits, and it can make viewers feel like they need to buy these things in order to be a runner, which is not necessarily what it's not that these influencers are directly saying that, but there is kind of this rhetoric online of like, oh, if you look cute, you're gonna run better, which isn't necessarily the case. Like, yes, you can have a good run if you feel confident about what you're wearing, but you don't have to buy new clothes in order to feel confident. And then I kept stumbling across clothing hauls of people who are getting into running or who have been into running but are trying brand new brands, and they post videos like this.
I'm on a mission to make my running outfits a lot more interesting and cute. So I did a little bit of damage. This is my first time ordering from Bandit. Let me show you what I got. Starting off so strong, I got this set. This is from their fall collection in this like burgundy color. These are the 5-inch stamina shorts. Then I got this top to match. The thing that I love about Bandit is everything has so many pockets for gels and your phone. I've been running in Lululemon and stuff that I've had for years, and I just feel like there hasn't been anywhere to put my gels and phone and keys and stuff. Love this. Thing I got is the same shorts but in black. This is where things get a little bit tricky. Obviously for research purposes, I bought the 3, the 5, and the 7-inch stamina compression shorts. They're the ones that have the high waistband. I actually did already try these on. 7 is too long for me. I'm 5'4", but I'm deciding between the 3 and the 5. Next thing I got is Stamina Next Gen Scoop Neck Run Crop. I just love that all of their stuff has so many pockets in it. I got the one that has the scoop neck instead of the high neck just because I sometimes feel claustrophobic when I run in high neck stuff. Needed some long sleeves to wear throughout the fall and winter. This first one that I got is the Micro Mesh Long Sleeve Performance Tee. Got this in a size extra small. This is the same but in this oatmeal color. I think I'm gonna return this one and keep the black. This one is the Mesh Performance long sleeve, so the material is a little bit different, but I really like this color. Deciding if I should keep this one. Let me know what you think. This one I got in a size extra small because they were sold out of the extra small. That's everything that I got. A little bit excessive, but 100% necessary. Let me know if you want me to try any of these on. Bye.
If it is your first time trying a brand, please, I beg of you, do not buy more than 1 or 2 pieces because you do not know how those pieces are going to hold up, how your skin is going to react to them, how they're going to work on your body while you're running. There are so many different factors that go into what clothes work for you as a runner or just as an active person in general. One of the first things I think of is if you're buying a pair of athletic shorts, are they going to ride up when you're running and you're going to have to keep pulling them down? And if you're buying multiple pairs of those, how are you sure that it's going to work for you? And like, if you don't like the quality of the pieces, you have basically an entire new wardrobe of athletic clothes there that you kind of have the responsibility now to use. And I know so many people are going to say, just return it. Like, I'll just return it if I don't like it. But don't buy an entire haul just because you can always send it back. Like, there are environmental impacts that come from returning stuff too, right? Like, you have to ship it back to the company just like they shipped it to you. I feel like people have been taught that like if you buy stuff online, there's no trade-off, there's no harm in just buying a bunch of stuff to try it and then you can just send it back and it's like there's nothing that happens that is harmful. But there are definitely consequences for that, even though we may not directly see it. I talked about this a bit in one of my Christmas videos, talking about the significant number on Black Friday of people that will buy stuff and then send products back. It has a really bad footprint on our carbon emissions and on the planet. It's not that you can't ever do it, right? Like, every once in a while, if you have to return something, you have to return something. If you can take it in person, that might be a better option, but also just trying to be mindful about not just buying stuff just because you could send it back, if that makes sense. And I also know that creators, I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I know some creators do it just to have content, which is something that I really have an issue with. You don't need to buy stuff just to show a haul and then send half of it back. Like, that doesn't make sense because you're almost in a way lying to your community about what you actually buy and use. And again, it can make people feel like they need to have that amount of stuff in order to be a runner or be like you, because you're influencing people to behave how you do if they follow you. Instead of buying 3 pairs of the same shorts to see what length you want, if you're already a runner and you already have shorts that you like, take a measuring tape and measure the inseam of the shorts and then buy the pair that is that length. That is going to make a lot more sense than just buying stuff to later send it back because you only like one of them. People might disagree with me on that though. Like, let me know in the comments. Do you think buying a bunch of things to try them on is normal or should be normal and that you should be allowed to just send stuff back without second guessing it? Part of the responsibility of being a conscious consumer is thinking about everything that goes into it, including returning it to the company and what happens to the product after it's returned. Hi, Editing Lainey here, making my video appearance as always. I want to make one thing clear. While I think that we as consumers have a responsibility to be conscious about how we consume things, I feel like I haven't talked enough about the responsibility that companies have as well. There is not strict regulation on how companies deal with processing returns, and a lot of them will actually, in order to save money, just send return products to landfills because it costs hundreds of billions of dollars to process returns. So the cheaper solution is just to send it to landfill, which is really harmful. And we need to have more regulations for companies to be responsible for these items that are being returned so that they actually have to process them and resell them and not just dispose of them and act like it's not affecting our planet or communities around the world. But yeah, I wanted to touch on that because I feel like it's a very important thing that, as I was doing research for this video, for some reason did not put that down in my notes for my script, which is crazy. But nonetheless, I just said it now, so please enjoy the rest of the video. And like I said, many of these runners and running influencers get sent products for free. to sell to their audience with videos like this. But you don't need a matching set for every day of the week. Or if you do have matching sets, know that it is your responsibility to give them the proper, like if you do have one for every run you go on throughout the week, I really hope that you continue to use them over and over again. Unlike how it is pushed to us online with these influencers who basically get all these new clothes, and then when the next drop happens from a company, they have to make space for it in their wardrobe by donating it or reselling them. Along with the matching sets, we also have things like the running glasses and the spy belts and running vests. There are so many different gadgets that you get sold when you become a runner. Also just running shoes in general, the amount of people that have like massive shoe collections. Now, it can make sense for someone who is a runner that runs very frequently to maybe have 2 pairs of shoes to switch between, because the foam on your shoe can compress after a run. So if you have a run the following day and you want support on your shoes, it may be good for some people, depending on how serious you are about running, to have 2 pairs of running shoes. But for like the average runner, it really isn't that serious, in my opinion. It's great to want to get better, but it is not a necessity to have more than 1 pair of shoes. Running shoes in general usually last 300 to 500 miles. So trying to like log how much you are running or keeping a sense of how long you've had them for, either the miles or every year, I will just get a new pair of shoes because they're falling apart by that time. I can also usually tell when I need a new pair of shoes because my knees will start to hurt when I'm running. And that's kind of how I know that the support in the shoe is like no longer there. But you really don't need like 7 or 8 pairs of running shoes. And again, of course, these influencers are getting sent these shoes. I know that. Normalizing it through videos where you're showing off these cute outfits where you have a different pair of shoes to match every outfit, and a different spy belt to match every outfit, and a different pair of sunglasses to match every outfit. It gets to a point where even if you're trying to give inspo, it should be discussed and disclaimed that it's not a normal amount of things to own, in my opinion. Do I own a spy belt? Yes, but I have one. Do I own a running vest? Yes, but I have one. And I'm going to talk about if I think that those are worth it anyways in a minute. Do I have many bandanas? Yes. 2 of them were given to me by a friend because we played Survivor. My friend group did an actual like live Survivor, and this was one of the buffs I was given. So I was on the blue tribe, and then I also have a green one. If you follow me on Instagram, you see me wear all the time because I was on the green tribe at one point. And then I have 2 other bandanas that my mom got for me at an estate sale in Wisconsin for like 50 cents each that are silk. And they're beautiful. And then I got one for my birthday from a friend. So I think I have 5 total. Oh, that's a lie. I have 2 more that I thrifted in like 7th grade. That I have a red one and a blue one. And the blue is like a dark blue. So I have 7. That's kind of a lot in my opinion. But I use them. I wear them almost every day, especially in the summer. And when my hair is grown out, my hair cannot be worn down right now because of how outgrown it is. But they're super helpful day to day and also like on your runs. It can make sense to have ones to cycle through, but you don't need one for every single possible outfit combo. And the shift in clothing that I've been seeing now with running is people are starting to kind of hate on matching sets in a way and then shifting to needing unique outfits. So people will be layering like a long sleeve under a cotton t-shirt with like the Columbia or Patagonia like hiking shorts type vibe, which is great if you already have those things in your closet. But if you have the matching sets already, you can still continue to wear those, or you can even mix and match the matching set with like a plain t-shirt and a long sleeve from your closet. Although I don't know how people are running in a long sleeve and a cotton t-shirt on top of it in this heat in the middle of summer. I sweat so much, so I'm usually just in like a sports bra and some old shorts. But yeah, there definitely has been a shift. And there's also, and I talked about this in my previous video, there's been an uptick in people talking about polyester and the plastics in matching sets. And while, yes, I'm totally 100% for natural fabrics, I have done more research on it, and there is definitely a time and place for polyester when it comes to athletic clothing because it's sweat wicking and it can help repel water if you're like, say you're running in the rain. Do I still want to reduce the amount of plastic I'm putting on my body? Yes, but like if you own matching sets that have polyester and like spandex and stuff in them, just making sure you remove it immediately after you're moving, because we don't have enough research truly at this time to tell us how much of it is like seeping into our skin from our running clothes. Because yes, your pores are open while you're running, but like there's not been enough research on like what the actual impact of that is. Using what you have, as I always say, like use what you have and just be mindful about like taking it off immediately after you're done and showering. But that's also just like hygienic, please. You don't need me to tell you that. And also finding like if you don't mind wearing cotton for your workouts, you can do that. Or I've heard that merino wool is also really good for athletic clothes. Again, I don't know how well that would work in the summer, but I guess if you can find merino wool that is in clothing that is not necessarily long sleeved, I guess it could work. If you have any tips on that, let me know in the comments, because I'm always looking for that kind of stuff, but I also plan on just using what I already have. And then, as I keep saying, I've been on the lookout on Depop for different vintage athletic wear options. But I love to just run in a pair of like soccer or lacrosse shorts and a cotton tank top with a sports bra, like, or even just the shorts and the sports bra. That's kind of been my go-to recently, keeping it simple. And then on top of all of the consumption of clothing, I don't know if you can consider this consumption, but in a way, I feel like it is. I feel like people are entering into an absurd amount of races, kind of like they're trying to collect as many races as possible in a very short amount of time. I think for the average runner, doing 1 or maybe 2 races a year is plenty. I guess it depends on if you're doing like a 5K versus like a half or a full marathon. It has become kind of the regular for people to be running like 2, 3 half marathons and like 1 or 2 full marathons. And I don't think we should be normalizing that, because A, races are expensive to get into, and B, it takes opportunities from other people who want to run those races away. There's been a lot of discussion recently about in the marathon space specifically and half marathon space, where they do raffles for people to get free entry into the race. And a lot of local people to those races aren't even able to get the spots because people from elsewhere are entering into it. Now, that doesn't mean that people can't enter into those spaces, but there is something to be said about like the local people not even being able to race in these marathons and half marathons that are in their community, and having to then travel elsewhere if they want to do a race, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's just they're expensive. It takes a lot of time out of your life. I think people underestimate the amount of time it takes to train for a half marathon and especially a full marathon. Like, your life kind of in a way revolves around your running and your training. I guess it depends on how serious you are about it, because you don't have to make it be that way. Like, let me be clear, if I do another half marathon, I will probably be way more worried about having a good time than like getting a faster pace, if that makes sense. Kind of got a little bit off topic, but I think that those are all really good points about running and consumption. And I would love to hear like if you have also noticed kind of an increase of this online, if you're even in the running space. Maybe you're not. But now I want to move into my purchases as a runner and like which ones I regret and which ones I think were totally worth it. Again, to be clear, I'm an average runner. I'm not like running any crazy paces. I'm not going to share my pace because I don't really like the comparison game that kind of comes with just paces in general. I think that a lot more people need to get off of Strava and turn off their watch every once in a while and just run to run and not necessarily feel like you have to track every single thing you do. But I'm going to go through everything I've got, and then I will talk about if it is worth it or not. And I have some of the things here with me so I can show you. So first off, I have a running vest. I'm going to put it on real quick. I know you can't see all of it very well. We're just getting full force. I don't know what's happening here. But this is my running vest. It's a very average running vest. So as you can tell, it has 2 water bottles in the front. It has a little pocket here, and then it has a big pocket in the back. It also has like reflective little sections on it for if I'm running when it's a bit darker. I guess I should also mention this was a Christmas gift that I got 2 years ago. Next, I have my Garmin. It's actually dead right now. I wear this pretty frequently. This is the oh my gosh, why is that so hard to say? Forerunner 255S. I also got this for Christmas 2 years ago. You've seen the theme? These things are kind of expensive, so I feel like it's pretty normal to ask for them for gifts. Then I have a spy belt, also a Christmas gift. Not really much to say. This holds like my phone. And arguably the most important thing about being a runner, the shoes. So I'm a Hoka person. These are so dirty. I am so sorry. They were white once upon a time, or like a cream color once upon a time. So I go to Fleet Feet usually to get my shoes, and I will get my feet measured and like my walking gait and running gait measured every time I go in, just to make sure nothing's changed. And I will always try a bunch of different brands and a bunch of different styles, and I just always come back to Hoka. I started with the Hoka Arahi 6s, and then I moved to the 7s, and then most recently I got the Hoka Gaviotas. Yeah, the Gaviota 6, which is like their ultimate stability shoe. I'm very big on stability when it comes to my running shoes, which is why I love the Arahi, because that's their original stability shoe. And then the Gaviota is kind of like the step up from that. Some other things that I purchased are my Planet Noosa sets, which I use outside of running, but I did get the very first one I got with kind of the intention of using it for running, but I use it for running and dancing and lifting and just day-to-day life. Any hats I have that I wear for running are either gifted to me or I've gotten from run clubs. I don't think I've purchased a single running hat. They've all been gifted. And then all my other athletic clothes are either thrifted or hand-me-downs, or I've had them since literally like middle school or high school. And even most of those are like secondhand off of Facebook Marketplace. I'm gonna take this running vest off now. In regards to what has been worth it for me, I would say majority of the stuff I've gotten is worth it because I asked for a lot of them all at once. I still continue to use them. The running shoes are definitely the most important. I would say that having a good supportive pair of shoes is like the only thing I would consider a necessity, because you don't want to be running in dead shoes that are going to make you injured. Really finding a pair of shoes that is like good for your feet that will support your journey with running, I would say is the only need. Your shoe is definitely going to be very dependent on the person. And speaking of being dependent on the person, I think a Garmin watch is also going to be very dependent on the person, because I know how addictive it can get to be able to see your stats on a regular basis. When I got my Garmin, I never had the intention of, because my Garmin can like track my sleep and whatever, I never got it with that intention to track my sleep or have it become obsessive. I never had the intention of it becoming obsessive. For me, the main thing I wanted it to track was my heart rate and my heart rate zones, because I kind of had no clue what was going on there. And it was just something that was interesting to me. And I also thought it would be easier to track my runs than having to hold my phone in my hand the whole time, because that was getting kind of annoying. If you don't mind carrying your phone, the Nike Run Club app works really well. It's pretty close to being as accurate as my Garmin. Of course, none of these things are going to be 100% accurate. Like when you run a race with a Garmin on, it's definitely not accurate because the Bluetooth and whatever, the GPS signal gets mixed up with everyone else that's using them. Like there are totally times where I go on a run and I know I've been running longer than what my watch says, and then it'll say, oh, now the GPS is ready to connect. And I'm like, oh, so you're telling me this whole time you haven't even been actually tracking my run? You've kind of just been doing whatever the heck you want. It's not like guaranteed 100% accuracy, so you can't be super attached to them. I try to be in the habit of, I will wear it for my run, or like if I lift or swim, I've been trying to track those a bit more, and sometimes dance classes. And then as soon as I get home, I take it off so that I'm not attached to the numbers in it. I don't want to know my sleep score. I can tell how I'm sleeping based on when I wake up in the morning if I feel like I need more sleep. Sometimes I'll wear it to like see how much I'm walking in a day, like steps and stuff, just because I find it interesting, but it can also be a slippery slope because sometimes I get a little bit too competitive with it with myself, and then I have to take off the watch for a while. So I think it really just depends on, again, like I said, the person. If you want your tracking of your runs to be easier and you're able to kind of have that separation and not be dependent on it, I think it's really good to like have boundaries with when you're going to wear your watch and when you're not going to. And they're not cheap. It shouldn't just be like a spur of the moment purchase. You should really think it through and think through which version is going to work best for you as well. Like what style is going to work and what ones are going to be most helpful for the forms of movement you do in your life, maybe even outside of running. And to be clear, I ran for like 8 months before I got this, and I was just fine. Literally the only thing that bothered me was that I had to carry my phone, but like other than that, it was not a need. Now to the running vest. I love my running vest. Is it the most pretty running vest you've ever seen? No, it's not aesthetic by any means, but it does the job, and that's kind of all I needed to do. It carries my water, it can carry my phone, it can carry my house keys. It has gotten me through both of my races. You can find them secondhand, or you can even ask, like if you know someone in your life who used to run that maybe doesn't run anymore, or for some reason someone you know has more than one and they're looking to get rid of one, like maybe try it and test it out. Not something you have to have, but is very helpful. In New York, there's not that many public water fountains, so being able to have something that holds my water bottles for me. I just have this weird thing about, I don't have great circulation to my hands, so when I'm holding on to stuff, my hands fall asleep really fast. So having the vest to be able to like hold on to that stuff while I'm running so my hands don't fall asleep is really helpful for me. But again, I ran for 6 to 8 months without having one, and while yes, it's a bit uncomfortable and a bit annoying, it is still manageable, and you can still make it work, even just like carrying a smaller water bottle with you and carrying your phone. Now, when you get to longer distances, it can be tricky again, because if you want to carry fuel with you, little snacks to eat while you're running, or like gels or fruit or whatever, having that back pocket can be really helpful. But I've also seen plenty of people who will just get shorts that have pockets in them that they can stuff, or they will literally stop at a little grocery store, like corner store, in the middle of their run. Again, that depends on where you live. Not everyone has access to that. I could stop at a bodega on any corner of the city while I'm in the middle of my run and grab stuff. I know that when I'm running in Wisconsin, that's not an option. I am in the middle of a cornfield. Now, when it comes to my spy belt, truthfully, it is going to be a pass for me because it doesn't stay in place. I've tried wearing it so many different ways. Tighter, looser, with the pouch in the front, with the pouch in the back. It never stays in place for me. It either slides down or it rides up, and it's uncomfortable. Will I still use it? Yes, I try to use it on a regular basis, but truly it is not necessary, especially if you already have a running vest. Like if your running vest has enough pockets to hold other stuff, there's no need for the spy belt. I don't know what I was thinking I needed both of them. It's not necessary, and I think that it was probably not the best decision to ask that on my part. Now, if for some reason you're in a race, that there are some races where they have regulations on like vests, running vests, and they don't allow you to have them, having a spy belt for that could be really useful if you can manage the feeling of it moving up and down while you're wearing it. Again, depends on the person. It's irritating for me, but it is manageable, so I will still use it. I complain about it because truthfully, I feel like one of the selling points they have is that it's not going to move while you're running. It does. It definitely does. So I just want to be honest about that because I feel like they're a very popular item for runners, especially runners that like to match them with your outfits. You don't need that many of them. And then athletic clothes, as like I said earlier, it really depends on the person, what you're comfortable running in, what makes you feel good. Getting dressed up to go for a run is super fun. I have like 3 running outfits I rotate through that I feel confident and comfortable in, but you don't have to switch it up every single time. Having a few choices that you can go to constantly that always make you feel good, are comfortable on your runs, and are able to get you through your runs, that is like the most important. I refuse to run in leggings. In the winter, I will put on leggings possibly, but usually what I'll do is I'll put on running shorts and then just put on a pair of sweatpants over it because I don't love the feeling of leggings anymore. I used to wear them a lot more. I think I just got overwhelmed by having to wear them so frequently for like dance auditions and stuff that I just kind of avoid them whenever I can now. But I especially don't like them running. It's something about it I just don't like, but that's my own comfort. Yeah, honestly, and I always say this, but having less options actually makes you more creative when it comes to creating outfits for running, because I used to have a lot more athletic clothes that fit me, but I've grown since those ones did. Like since I got out of college, I've gone up a few sizes and they don't fit me anymore. And having a more limited option of athletic clothes has made me actually make better running outfits that make me more confident. And I also really know exactly what I like in my athletic clothes now out of the few that I have to choose from. So if I ever do decide to add more options to my rotation, I kind of know exactly what I want to look for. So at the end of the day, every runner is going to have different needs, and what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for someone else. If you want to get started with running, truly start with the bare minimum. Download a free app. Don't even download an app if you don't want to. Just go outside and run. Maybe set like a little timer on your phone and just see how long you run for. Truly, I think the only thing that may be like worth it for you to get started running is a good pair of shoes so you don't get injured. You do not have to rush the process of getting gear and gadgets. You can get them slowly over time if it is something that is of importance to you that you feel like you will genuinely use in the long run. Pun. And one more reminder, I'm going to say it again, it is these influencers' jobs to influence you to buy these things, to make it feel necessary to have this amount of stuff in order to be a runner. And that is not always the case. And a lot of times they have all the time in the world to run. So if your runs are looking a little messy and you're crying on your runs, I cry on my runs. I don't look good when I'm running. You know, you just got to show up however you can. It is influencers' jobs to look good and go on these long runs and make content of them. And that's just not like the case for the average person. And again, put the Strava away. Please, I'm trying to start a bandwagon where people stop using Strava, because we don't need to be comparing our race paces with other people. I truly never used Strava. I have an account and I logged like a few privately for myself, and then I was like, this is stupid. Why do I need to do this? So like while tracking like either the time or the distance of your run can be fine. Like, I don't think we need to be having like communities of people comparing their paces with each other. That's just my opinion. Again, depends on the person. It may inspire other runners to run more or do better, but at the same time, just being a runner in general, being a person who runs, you're already doing an amazing thing. Not a lot of people run. Like, it's a very small percentage of the population. So to be a runner, period, is huge. I just think running off vibes is a lot more fun and it makes you a lot more appreciative. Like, it truly is a privilege to be able to run, and reminding yourself that every once in a while, putting the Garmin away, turning off the apps and just running to run can be really beneficial. That's kind of all I have for today's video. I hope that this was informative to some people. I hope that it maybe inspired you to try to run without feeling like you have to have all of the cool gadgets to do it. But yeah, let me know if you've noticed any of this overconsumption in the running space in the comments. Feel free to follow me on Instagram if you want to. I do post a little bit of running content over there. Nothing serious, just me kind of sharing how runs go, what I do for runs, reminders about being a runner. I talk about many other things on there as well. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified every single time I upload a new video. And with all that being said, I will see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.